Yeah, we won't mess about. Happy days.
We've got a brew ready.
Absolutely. Yeah, if I go into a coughing rant, apologies.
Don't worry.
I've been on the mend, and then today seems to have been worse than the last couple of days, which isn't ideal. But we'll see how we get on. How are we doing?
Yeah, it's definitely going around, isn't it? I was saying to Joe today, I've been suffering this week, and I've known a few people who've suffered with it. You just can't get rid of it. You can't shake it. So yeah,
it really doesn't.
With you there.
Feels like it's coming and going.
It does.
I'm wrapped up. It's
definitely.
cold. Pretty cold today as well.
It is freezing.
So
yeah.
Obviously, I'm Joe. We spoke a bit, haven't we, on Facebook and stuff about this today. And it's Jinder, isn't it? I've said that right.
That's correct. Yeah.
Brilliant. Joe and Johnny, obviously.
Nice to meet you guys.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Yeah, nice to meet you, Jinder.
Johnny, you've got to get the ball rolling. A bit about you. I'd like to start off, Jinder, with a little bit about the two of us.
Yeah. Yeah, it'd be interesting to hear.
Yeah, so yeah. Yeah, so saying Jinder, we've been friends quite some years in school, me and Joe. So obviously a few years ago, it was we went through our similar problems, and we just came together, through tough times as it were, and we've used techniques and methods, and we're just helping each other get through them, because sometimes it's quite hard to open up to other people, as being men. We do find it hard. And yeah, we just found a bit of a connection together, and through that time we found that when we were doing the acceptance commitment therapy, the methods and techniques used there, it's just really helped us further things with life as well. So yeah, it was there was a reason behind the group, which obviously the work that Joe puts in is marvelous. Obviously, him being an occupational therapist, me myself, I wanted to get involved in that as well, with the podcast and the group, and I come in where the IT side, I'd say that's where I'm good at, if anything, and Joe very much so. He's for his editing and all that sort of thing, and gathering the base of community, and it's growing nicely. I think you said before, Joe, we've got nearly 300 members, have we now?
Yeah,
so it's good to see. The engagement on there is fantastic. Yeah.
How long has it been running?
Yeah, so it's just cracking to see.
Couple of years now, probably about. I started up 2 years ago. It was a mixed group to start, and I've probably been coaching now online, obviously using my occupational therapy skills and a lot of the ACT stuff for probably about 3 years. And to start with, I'm going to be honest, I didn't quite know where it was going to go, which sort of garden path it was going to lead me down, Well, I probably officially set the group up about 2 years ago. And it was mixed to start with. And then obviously, as Johnny's sort of updated you a bit there, it was a good few years ago now, 2-3 years ago, when we obviously going through our own problems. It was more we wanted to target men more, and sort of, from our experiences, sort of help men as well and help them transform their whichever issues. I mean, I've had a lot of issues, well, mental health, it affects your motivation, doesn't it? But I think I had a lot of, growing up, certainly into my OT career, I had a lot of low self-esteem issues, confidence, almost that imposter syndrome, even up to, because I was a bit of a late bloomer. I went back to uni. I was probably 25, 26 when I started again. And I just felt like I sailed through it. It was like a blip. I've had imposter syndrome plenty of times, but it become more noticeable, I think. During uni, like I felt like I just sailed through, and then I got my first job, which was it was in a hospital, sort of doing a medical rotation, and I kind of just thought, do I actually know what I'm doing? I was kind of like, I'm actually good at this.
Yeah, I know.
A funny old story, actually. I started, I think it was a medical ward when I started. It was like an acute ward, and band 6 I'd gone off for a week. She'd gone, I think she was off sick, and then there was only a band 6 physio. I was kind of like, should you be all right just mingling with the physio for the week? But even they did part time. I'm going to be honest with you, I didn't have a clue what I was doing. So I was going to see these patients on the bed base. Back then, we used to use something called soap notes, Johnny. Ginger's probably familiar with that. Just your clinical notes afterwards, and the P would be plan. So at the end of it, you'd have a plan. You'd go and see your patient, then you'd put in your plan. Well, for every patient, I just put review. Oh, good. So
the culture of it as well. The more notes you sort of read, because I worked part time in my final year studying in a hospital, and the more notes you read, you see they start to morph together because somebody thinks, oh, that looks good, and before you know it, you're reading all the notes, and they all seem pretty similar from one to the next, which is kind of defeats the object. It's meant to be sort of patient-centered, and it seems they've all merged into one.
They're all merged into one, and I literally just blagged it, and then the band 6 come back from a holiday. She went, just have a word with you, curly finger. Can I just have a word with you? Like, yeah, I knew. I was like, she said, is everything all right? I went, yeah, no, like, this is again, I'm talking about confidence this week. And today's been a bit on assertiveness. And me back then, I wasn't very assertive. And I kind of like, yeah, everything's fine. Bye. She went,
you sometimes feel like it's a test, don't you?
Yeah, it's kind of like,
a colleague may genuinely be wanting to know, is everything all right? And you think, I can't say no because they'll have a go at me.
Straight away, don't take it personally.
I have to say I'm doing
it. Yeah, absolutely. And she kind of went, right, I'm just going to go, I've gone through your notes, and I've had to go through all your notes. You put review for everything. Do you know what you're doing? I went, no. So it's kind of kicked off a chain reaction from there. We just went back to the drawing board. And I'm going to say my confidence building started from that day on, really. That's when things started changing for me, because I had someone that understood me. I was in a position where I was able to say to her in the end, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And then we just went through my issues, and it kind of kicked a chain reaction off. And I think definitely as occupational therapists, we're really good at problem solving and reflection. But obviously, I think we're good at helping other people, but we often neglect ourselves.
Yeah.
And I think definitely 3 years ago when my personal issue kicked off, that was definitely a massive problem, and my partner saw that. And I think I always knew there was a combination of mental health issues, anxiety. I've had depression. I've had low motivation. I think the biggest ones for me were probably low self-esteem and confidence. That was something I really wanted to improve, and I did do. Like I've said on the group, now I can quite happily stand in front of a big crowd and talk. Or if someone asks me, Joe, would you come and do a presentation? Yeah, fine. I'd never done that some years back. There's no way I had the confidence to do that. No way. Like, I'd have gone, or I'd agreed to it. I'd have said yeah, and then say it was like in 2 weeks. I wouldn't have slept for 2 weeks. I wouldn't be able to switch off. All I would have been thinking about was, oh my God, I've got to stand in front of these people.
Why did I say yes?
Yeah, and then I had this little dictator inside my head, which we learned from ACT, haven't we, Johnny? It was like, you can't do that. You can't stand in front of 10, 20, 30, 40 people. You're not good enough. And it's like, and the way I got past all that was, as I say, it was a gradual graded approach. It was kind of like, I don't know, it could be speaking, nominating myself in front of people to do a presentation. Even doing the business stuff like that, it's really enhanced my confidence. But rather than get stuck in these deep thoughts and these negative thoughts, I actually processed it before. Right, well, what's the end goal here? What I'm trying to achieve? Is this going to enhance my career? You know, how am I going to? I'm going to be anxious anyway. It's normal. And how will I feel? And it kind of kicked on from there, really, building that confidence. But the last few years, I've just kind of, I have moments, but which as we all do, but I think definitely like doing the ACT stuff has been really beneficial, not just to clients, but also for me as well, because like I was in a real rut 3 years ago. It was like I've tried CBT and it does work for some people, I get that, but it didn't work for me. I just thought there's too much emphasis on this positive thinking. It's like, well, what happens when I'm not positive and I'm back in a rut? Have I got to go back to the GP again and ask for another referral? I think with CBT, they're actually taking a lot of this stuff from ACTs now. It's evolving, which is about time. But I had to do something about it, because they stuck me on a waiting list for 12 months, and then they sent me a couple of letters which I didn't receive.
Didn't receive.
Them. We sent them, but I didn't receive them. I was like, I rang them up and I went, I have to go back on the waiting list. I was like, do you know what? Forget it. I'm going to find something privately. And then I got a really good ACT coach to start with. Then she said, if you're really passionate about this stuff, you've already got your degree. You're working as an OT. You don't have to get certified in ACTs because you're an OT. Just do the training, become familiar with it. And she said you'll get better at it by applying it to yourself. And then Johnny was quite going through similar. I said, do you fancy doing the training with me? And it kicked on from there, really.
Awesome.
And it's been a but it's opened a lot of doors. So that's kind of where I'm at the minute.
It has, hasn't it?
Yeah. How about yourself, Jinder? What's your story?
Well, I'm a baby OT, not by age.
Yeah.
I retrained. I only qualified last year. So when you talk about imposter syndrome, it's only been up until recently that I've been living that,
Of course.
And I think if this were to be me in my 20s, it would have been very different. I would have been sinking in imposter syndrome for a long time. What I've been doing this time round, though, is, you said agreeing to, doing presentations. Next month, I'm going to be doing a lecture at my old university, which will be strange being on that side of the lecture hall. We're going to be doing like a 3-hour seminar on dementia. And earlier this month, I went to a job fair at the same university and went through some workshops on writing your covering letter and interview preparation, and essentially just putting myself, that the expression stepping outside of your comfort zone. Not too far to the point where I'm not confident to discuss it, but just outside that comfort zone. And the more I find I do that, the more comfortable I feel in the uncomfortable, as cliche as that may sound.
Well, that's right.
And eventually that comfort zone
that's the word,
there was a turning point for me before retraining or anything like that. I worked in the corporate world. I remember I changed industries from working in the fitness industry as a sales manager, and then I started a role for a property tech company, working as like an account manager and business development manager. And big part of it is obviously sales. I've been doing sales for a long time. And I just felt so out of my depth because it was an industry I wasn't familiar with. There was loads of terminology I just didn't understand. I wasn't saying I didn't know what was going on because I felt like, as I said to yourself, Joe, when I was asked how you're getting on, I thought I have to say I'm doing okay. I'm in my probation. I don't want to say I'm struggling, which was a stupid thing to do because it was a genuine curiosity, and I would have got the support earlier if I'd said I was struggling. I remember a colleague, top bloke called Lee, who pulled me aside and said, "Can I just give you some advice?" I was like, "Yeah, please." He's like, "You've not done this job before. You're really new. Just remember, for a bit, you're going to be shit." He said, "And that's okay." He said, "When you've not done anything before, you're not expected to be an expert straight away.
Not too much pressure on yourself."
So it was like a relief.
That's it, yeah.
It was okay. It's okay not to be. It's okay not to be okay at this for a little bit.
Sometimes you need somebody to say that.
Yeah, I needed that, and I often hear his voice in my head when I was experiencing imposter syndrome.
And you remembered it.
Working as a community mental health occupational therapist, and also in part, I work in the memory assessment service as well with older adults. Often I've had to tell myself, "Yeah, do you know what? I'm going to be shit for a little bit." And the more I do it, the more proficient I get at it. And I can safely say I'm not shit now, fortunately for the patients who I deal with. And I think sometimes it pays to, again, not throwing yourself straight in the deep water where you can't touch the floor, but just going out your depth ever so slightly. You're still within your competence level, but it's about finding that balance, and that's different for everyone. But I think that's what I've learned that's what I've learned with my experience, even outside of professional work experience. I just find it's like, Joe, terminology you'll be familiar with, that graded exposure.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
it's about edging into experiences you aren't familiar with.
Oh, yeah. If it's going to be something really unrealistic, you're not going to do it. Like Johnny joined a running club, and it's led to other things. Like, I've always been a gym. I've always trained. I'm looking at trying something else. I thought, Mike, I did a little bit of boxing for a couple of years, back when I was at uni, but I fancy trying something else at the minute. I was looking at Krav Maga. I thought, might have a go at that. I was looking at some local, and have a go trying that. And I thought, I still get some little thoughts in my head that'll be like, everyone's going to be judging you. But my analogy now is like, you're always going to get them, but they will pass. They will pass. Just have a go. Just go, try it, and if you enjoy it, so be it. If you don't enjoy it,
I think sometimes it's good to remind ourselves that when you're a beginner at anything, that's when you see the biggest improvements.
Yeah.
The more proficient you get at something, it becomes more marginal gains the better you get at something. Being a beginner, you get to really start to develop, hone some new skills, and learn so much about yourself. I box as well, and a lot of the discipline that comes with any sport and physical activity, the discipline that comes with that is really transferable to professional life, to personal, to personal scenarios. Being a beginner there is a lot of uncertainty and anxiety, but there's nothing but reward from it,
Yeah, I completely agree, and I think just touching on that as well, I think this can be across any job. For example, you're always going to get a client that's going to be difficult. I think when I've supervised other OTs in the past, and they've got a bit worried about a case, they've come back to me and gone, "Oh my God, the person was said this. They want this. It's want again. I want this." And well, I said, we had a chat, and she told me what she'd done about her case. And I was like, "Well, you've done your job, And I said, "That's all that matters." I said, and I did some act on. I was like, "These are just words that this person's using against you. That's all. They're not hurtful. Try and disengage from that." At the end of the day, you are good at your job. You're doing the right thing. And I said, she was quite new at the time, and I just said to her, just take it all in. You've been qualified. It's your first year as an OT. I said, you're putting too much pressure on yourself. I said, if I could go back in time now to when I was an OT for the first time, I just enjoy the ride. Because I said, for the first year, you're not going to have a clue what you're doing. I'm going to be honest with you. You're just going to be sort of...
You're going to be shit for a little bit.
Yeah, you're going to be shit for a bit. Exactly, I said. And it's going to take you a couple of years before you start seeing your career taking off a bit. It takes a good couple of years. I said, I remember going back to mine for the first couple of years. I was like, where the frigging hell am I going with this? Don't know what I'm doing. And then after that, you find a little settled job, and then it just takes off from there. You special. Suppose it'd be the same in your game, Johnny.
Yeah, well, I work like in a sales team, Jinder. So it's like it's commercial rates. We do very boring. I won't go into the specifics, but I work with like a team of 67 of us, and over the last few years, it's grown. With the methods and like say techniques of using them in my environment at work, I've noticed it's helped others as well. So that's why I've pursued with it in and out work as well. The feedback I've had, it's just like that to me is everything. Like the feedback we've had on this group, me and Joe have had a few messages since we're creating it, and people are inspired by that. But some of the stuff it's like you said, got pointing on there, Jinder, about pushing yourself a little bit outside your comfort zone. I've started to do that last 3 or 4 years now, and other people have noticed it massively. And it's just keep testing waters. Don't beat yourself up about little things, and just keep going. Just keep going, and keep knowing that you're doing it, and keep applying it. And that's it. Be present as you. I try and be present as much as I can. I was speaking to someone yesterday actually on that training course I was on. I mentioned to you, Joe. Yeah. And they were worrying about something else, and I was like, "Don't worry about that. It's happened. Focus on what you can control, move forward, and then what we've got today, sort of thing." And it's just trying to. That's that's it, isn't it? So it's always trying to apply it.
Well, I remember I coached a guy. I finished working with him last month. I was working with him for a while, and I remember when we first started, and he was worry, and I said, right, do you drive? He went, yeah. I said, you could leave the house today, and you could get a speeding fine, and there's nothing you can do about it. You drive past and you get a ticket in the post. Okay, you might be able to do the speed awareness course, but if you say you get the points or you get the course, there's nothing you can do about it. It's happened. It's already happened. You've got to move on, and it's the same with your thoughts and feelings. Yeah, it's exactly the same. This is happening now. They will pass. They will pass. Or if you let yourself get controlled by them, how are you ever going to move forward with anything else? How are you going to, how are you going to take more action? How are you going to step into the uncomfortable zone? And I was a person. I'd worry over anything. Get anxious over something years ago. It's like, God, did I do that right? And did I do that right? Yeah. And it's like I still do some locum work. Whilst building my coaching up, and it's stressful. Social services. It's I don't find it stressful. I can log off and that's me done. Whereas other people are worrying about the weekend. But like, right, well, I've done my job and I've finished working now. I'm going to forget about it.
Yeah. I think it's important to switch off. It's easier said than done in some instances, depending on the provision that you work in, the types of things that you maybe see and have to witness, and stories that you're exposed to. But there has to be a way. You have to find ways for. It's almost like having a work hat that you take off when you're done. Yeah. And when you take that off, that's it. You switch off and you wait until Monday or whenever your next shift, and then you take on those responsibilities. But carrying those burdens into your personal life is not healthy.
Yeah, it isn't. It affects all things, and it's like
draining.
I always say, when you make a decision, when you get to the position where you can make a decision, I always say to people, it doesn't end there. You are going to experience some difficult thoughts and feelings now. You've made your decision. I don't know. It'll take a while now for things to settle down. So you've just got to make a bit of space for them. I always say, if you're feeling crap one day, allow yourself to feel crap. If you're feeling crap for 2 days, allow yourself to feel crap. But if you've got a regular routine and you're not doing, if you like, I don't drink that much anymore. Maybe I have 2-3 blowouts a year. I had a blowout at Christmas, and I had a plan in mind. I went to France with my partner to see her family, and I said, right, we're back on such and such a day. I'll have that weekend off. We'll be back in the gym on Monday. But I allowed myself the time. Some people are too hard on themselves.
Yeah,
that's the problem.
Yeah.
I think it's different for everyone, but it's about finding the right balance for you, isn't it?
Exactly.
Similarly to yourself, I allowed myself. I was like, over Christmas, not gonna go to the gym for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna care about what I eat. I'm gonna drink what I want. I'm gonna put on weight, and you know what? It'll be fine.
It'll be absolutely fine.
And actually, having that blowout allows me to be a lot more, regain some focus back on that sort of disciplined lifestyle I try to keep to. And it's always a stride. We fall off the wagon, and it's not being too harsh on yourself when you do. I think sometimes when people, perhaps if they make decisions that don't align with their personal sort of ethos on how they should live, their life, whether it's going to the gym X number of times a week, they make that mistake, and it's almost like, oh, well, I've failed now. And it's like, you've made a mistake, but for the next 7 days, why don't you adhere to the original plan of 3 days or 4 days a week, Excuse me.
Wean it down a bit, I mean, I used to go every day, and I go 3 days a week now, and it fits in with my week, It's just making it work for you, isn't it? That's what it has to be. It has to work with you. And I think a lot of, I find with men, a lot of the men I speak to nowadays, it's kind of like about their mental health problems. It's having that ability to open up. They feel like it's a bit of a weakness, and it can take them time to open up. Yeah, and it's the irony is opening up about things you're insecure about, or anxious about, or unsure. Actually opening up and speaking about it is a huge strength. The irony that we think it's a weakness, definitely. And I was one of those men.
We've always said it is. Yeah.
Say again, Johnny.
Yeah, no, it's just to echo what you said there, Ginger, it is a massive strength, opening up. That is part of a strength, being honest and open, and actually keeping those burdens to yourself isn't going to help you. Do you know what I mean? So opening up, it's actually like a lease of life in a way, because you're just opening, you're just letting it all out, aren't you? So you just find that, they say, don't they, a burden shared is a bit, it's like it's a burden half sort of thing, whatever the saying, but it does help you massively. And at times me and Joe have had a one-to-one conversation, and then after it we've gone, wow, that was really good, that, wasn't it? It's amazing what talking and opening up can do.
That is it. I remember somebody asked me, talking about self-compassion, and they were saying, how do you become good at self-compassion? And I said, well, you start by being a bit kinder to yourself. That's what you do. You stop being hard on yourself. That's one. I said, always start small. It's like when you build when you change something in your lifestyle. Rome wasn't built in a day, was it? Like we said, you do one little stack of OT approach, and it's one little small thing, and then you build that up nice and gradual, and you allow yourself to have some mishaps. You allow yourself to have a bad day. I can have a bad day, and I'm like, right, I'll be fine tomorrow. Don't put too much pressure on yourself, because at the same time, then that's when you burn out.
Yeah, I think sometimes when people want to make a change in their lives, sometimes the change they have in their head is so far from where they are at the time. In a lot of instances, they can be sort of paralyzed by their anxiety of overcoming that sort of hurdle and even putting a plan together to achieve that. But I think in some instances, looking at the end goal is, it's too far ahead. It's about looking at those small incremental sort of steps that it takes to get there.
Yeah.
I remember hearing it was Jordan Peterson once. He said sometimes you have to. What was it he said? I think he said if you're struggling, maybe you haven't set the bar low enough. And it's an expression I've not heard before. As blokes, you know, trying to be alphas, it's always about setting the bar high. There's nothing wrong with having that, having that sort of philosophy. If it works for you, it's great. But if it's too hard and you're struggling and you see it as you can't achieve it, so you totally give up. Is it not better to actually, if I set the bar a little bit low, if going to the gym, like you were saying, Joe, every day, if that's unfeasible, then every time you don't go every day, you kick yourself. But you know what? You went 4 times in the week. That's 4 times in so many people.
It's fantastic.
In England who don't train.
Celebrate that. Yeah.
Exactly. I echo that as well. I echo that as well. Like it's 2021. I set a business up with a physio, an adaptations company. And I thought it'd take off within a couple of months. You know, we put everything into it, threw the kitchen sink at it, and we thought, oh, that'll be it now. We'll be able to quit our jobs, and we'll just we'll have our business, and you know, we'll earn loads of money, and that'll be it within 6 months. And the reality of it is, put the bar too high, and then I decided to set up on my own doing adaptations, and the same thing happened again. So it happened twice, and it probably took a couple of years to figure out, was that right for me? And I always wanted to own my own business anyway, be flexible. You know, that's been something that I've always wanted to do. Just have more flexibility. Just me. And I did a couple of years. I did some reflecting on it, and I thought, well, is my heart and soul in adaptations? Is that really what I want to do for the foreseeable? I asked myself that question. I thought, does it inspire me? And I was like, no, it doesn't. And I did a bit more thinking, and then I had this mini breakdown, these issues, and I think everything happens for a reason. And when that happened, I found acceptance and commitment therapy, and I just really enjoyed doing the training, and we just clicked, and I thought, I could do this. I could use this to help other people. I've already got my OT skills, which is very person-centered. We're problem solvers, we're empathetic. We've got all the skills in the world. You know, I thought I can apply the ACT stuff, and I can make this work. And I thought I took a good year of planning that, and I thought it's going to take time to get it where I want it to get to. It'll take time, and I thought I'm going to allow myself to have bad days, and I'm going to allow myself to feel crap, and I might get the self-doubt kicking in, like the imposter syndrome. You don't know what you're talking about. This isn't going to work. Nobody wants to use you. You know, these all kicked in. They were all happening. I was getting all these thoughts and feelings. And you know what I used to do was just like give it a thumbs up and be like, yeah, I'll be back tomorrow though, you know. And as I say, I've created the group a couple of years ago, and I very much use that sort of approach. Every experience that I had, I didn't see it as a failure. I saw it as a learning curve, and I just adapted it.
Yeah.
I'm going to look back at the 2 businesses that I created. I don't see them as a failure because they've got me to where I am today. I look back on them as they were learning experiences. I just wasn't ready. I chose the wrong path, and I wasn't ready. And I didn't allow myself the time. Whereas now it's like, as I say, the group's getting really busy. There's been a few inquiries the last week asking me for my services. People asking to speak to me, and I thought, that's because I've been present. I've allowed, you know, I haven't put that pressure on myself. I set the bar really low when I went into this. Whereas when I started, it was too high.
Yeah.
And I expected everything to, oh yeah, that'll be it. Everything will blow up within 6 months and it'll be fine. And
that's a valuable lesson to learn, isn't it? You know, and I like the way you look at it and say those two businesses that didn't take off wasn't a failure, because the lessons that you've learned from it are shaping, not just shaped you as a man now, but shaped you as a professional, and it consequently going to shape your, you know, this venture of yours now. And the funny thing is, in hindsight, you look back, and the worst thing that potentially one of the worst things that could have happened for you is that adaptations business working. Because
absolutely.
Then I've quit a job because I want to work for myself. And I want to do something I enjoy. And actually something's taken off and I'm doing something I'm passionate about. And this is, now I'm working for myself, but I still don't enjoy what I'm doing.
I wouldn't, and I'd have been trying to strive to get more happiness. I'd have been asked, like, and that's the wrong thing, because that leads to depression and anxiety. And I've been like,
chasing it.
Well, I might have got 10 years down the line and gone, I hate what I'm doing. Why did it? Yeah, okay, it's doing well, but I'm not passionate about it. And I think I just echo that to anyone else that's looking to start a business, because I think you've got to be careful these days. There's a lot of like business coaches out there that will promise you the earth.
Yeah.
They might approach you in your profession, you know, whatever your profession is, and say, oh, you can earn £10,000 a month doing this, and you quit your job within 6 months. It's rubbish. It's absolute rubbish. It's a short.
Take screenshots of people's bank accounts and how much they're earning, and
it's rubbish because they don't share. Exactly, they don't share the ones that haven't been successful, that they've classed as successful. And I think you've just got to be very careful. I think if you've got an idea, roll with it. Just take your time, and I think it's going to take time. It's like it could take a year, it could take 2 years before that gets going, but you've got to allow yourself to have some mishaps. You can have good days and bad days when you set a business up. And, you know, as long as you're honest to yourself, like, there's, you know, I think I've heard a lot of people, there's some people that have suggested, some of colleagues that have said, oh, I want to go into that area, but there's tens of thousands of other people doing that. I went, yeah, but they're not you. You're the brand.
Yeah.
So I said, if I got talking to you, or if I approached you, it's because I like you.
Yeah.
You know,
people blame to people.
Fight with a big. How many mechanics have you got? We've got thousands of mechanics. I've been to the same one for the last 15 years because I like him, trust him. And it's the same with you. It doesn't matter how many people are doing your particular profession privately. People buy from you. You're the brand. People buy because they like you. They like talking to you. They have that connection. That's important, I think. I think with whatever you do, I think you've got to have a connection with that person. Definitely. You know, definitely. I think whatever, even if, same with you two, if you change, if you do something else in the future, I'd always say that to you. Just take your time and just allow yourself to have them bad days and good days. It's normal, isn't it?
Yeah. Not only is it normal.
Yeah. Well, you know, going back to that. Go on, Jinder.
No, after you, Johnny. Go on.
I was just going to echo what Joe was saying there about, you know, that it's, I think when I read something, it was like when you're pursuing something meaningful, you're supposed to feel crappy a third of the time, okay a third of the time, and good a third of the time. So you're not always going to feel like up there all the time. So there will be times you'll be all right, and there's times you'll feel crappy. That is absolutely normal, you know. So just echoing that, it's, don't feel bad on yourself, and
I think
keep your head up and keep going. Like
feeling shit, feeling crappy should be normalized.
Oh, hang on, absolutely.
We live in a day and age now where social media is a highlight reel of everyone's best bits, and some people take that as gospel. Everyone else is living their best life 100% of the time, but they're not. You know, we're human, and feeling a huge, you know, the entire spectrum of emotions is being human, unless you're a sociopath. You know,
exactly. Like people, that's the problem. So you completely bang on. People share all the best bits of social media. I mean, at the minute, my downstairs is a building site. I'm just sharing that. You know, it isn't always positive. Like sometimes you get some. I mean, I used to see that on social media 8 years ago when Instagram was started coming out. You'd look at it and people had sort of put, or you'd look at some of the posts who were putting, you know, I wish I was doing that right now. And you know, the reality of it is now they're not living the best life. You know, it's like I've kind of diffused myself away from them sort of behaviours now. I mean, I only use it for work now. I don't really use it for I don't scroll mindlessly on it like I used to. I haven't got time, and you know, it just leads you down the wrong path. Really, I just thought work purposes now, and you know. It's just having that
we said about anxiety. You can look at stuff like I said to you, Joe, I think last week when we were talking about it, and it's when you're chasing that lifestyle, bring yourself back to this moment in time. Do you know what I mean? Have a bit of presence about you, and just control what you've got here and now, rather than looking at them, what they're doing, what everyone else is up to. Just control what you can do, not what's outside your control, sort of thing.
Well, it's bang on. If you like with me now, back then when I echoing the adaptations company, probably at the time I was chasing the wrong things. Was like money, just about finances, and then if you chase that forever, you get lost. You don't appreciate the things along the way. It's like your partner or going on holidays and appreciating your time with your friends, appreciating the gym, appreciate number one, you've got your health.
Absolutely.
That's number one. It's like you chase money for the rest of your life and you might not be able to enjoy it.
Absolutely.
That's what makes it meaningful.
For me, when I worked in the corporate world, for me, like my and I don't regret the jobs I did in the past. I've learned so many skills from them. I really enjoyed them. But I can look back and my barometer, my marker of success in my head was based on how much I was earning. So I was always striving towards the next goal, which sort of would always be the general sort of linear route within the company I was working in. So I do what I can to try and get promotions, and often I did, sometimes I didn't. And it gets to the point where you realize there's always somebody else that earns more money than you. So like you were saying, Joe, if that is your sole focus, you're never going to be fulfilled and you're never going to be satisfied, and you're constantly going to be, I like the expression, comparison is the thief of joy, because you're always comparing yourself to other people. They're better than me. They've got more money than me. So they're a better man than I am. They're more successful. And it's not to say that, I'm not saying money isn't important, because if try being poor and then you realize that it is important. But if your sole focus is on money and you're not searching for things that are also meaningful to you and give you something else other than helping you
get lost.
Yeah, you do get lost, and you're sort of I'd be aimlessly looking at roles that would allow me to earn more money, but it was squeezing. Every time there was a promotion, it would squeeze out my personal time, and the balance, my work-life balance was awful. It wasn't healthy. And when I decided I took a year out and went traveling and reflected on it. It was only when I had that time to really look back, and I was like, I really wasn't happy. I switched it on. I put that face on, Jinder, the happy-go-lucky guy in the office. But in actual fact, I finished today feeling a bit empty, to be honest. Whereas now it's starting as a band 5. I'm on the, I'm at the bottom of the ladder, but I'm climbing a ladder. I'm not looking at the very top step, but I'm going to enjoy climbing it, and I'm going to help some people along the way while helping myself and my family at the same time.
And the skills as well, are so valuable as an OT. Very transferable OT skills, Johnny. You can apply them in any setting. Anything like they just really, you'd have made a good OT, Johnny.
I think that's.
No reason why.
Well, you never know. There's always
You
time.
never know. You never. Hey, we need more OTs, more male OTs.
That's it.
So you
Yeah.
would make
we're a
good
breed,
OTs.
Well,
Joe. Male OTs.
Say again.
I said we're a rare breed, male OTs.
We are. Like, it's very rare now when I've worked in a setting that there's been another male there. And when there was one setting I was at, there was 3, and then they all left. Just me.
I've actually had a couple of students shadowing me, both guys, and I just, there's more males feeling drawn towards occupational therapy, which is great because there's not enough in that setting. There's so many patients I see, and I can read the notes, and people can't connect with them, and I then go in and connect, and people wonder what it is I do different. But in a lot of instances, when I'm seeing men, they just feel, I don't know, there's a comfort to opening up to a man about your problems if you're a bloke,
There is.
I think I think perhaps being asked certain questions by a bloke seems less, I don't know if it's patronizing or if it feels demeaning or if it feels, I don't know what it is, but men will open up to me and they don't open up to any of my colleagues, and it's really nice to be that. I'm the only OT within my within the teams, the 2 teams I work in. So to have those guys connect with someone they haven't been able to in the past is just really nice to see, and then it affects the rest of the healthcare professionals they see after as well, because they've got all this information I've gathered from the patients. And I'm right in the infancy of my OT career, but I know making this move was the best thing I did for me.
Oh, it's a great skill. I often get that with friends that they'll send me. I'll get a lot of friends texting me how they're feeling. I'm like, this isn't recent. This is over the last few years. They'll text me and they'll send me, and I'm feeling like X, Y, and Z. So that must be me. It must be me because I'm approachable. They feel like they can open up to me, and I'll listen. So that's why I've obviously big reasons I've gone into this. But I think with the OT skills and stuff, it's there's a lot of professions there, Johnny, that kind of very red tape. Whereas with an OT, we'll kind of we consider culture, their environment, external circumstances. We think out the box.
Yeah.
We don't go in there like a bull in a china shop. And it's quite a relaxed approach when you first meet an OT, and you do that initial information gathering stage. It's like, I often take a good 2-3 sessions with someone. I might be just sitting there, just listening to their story.
Yeah.
Just tell me a bit about it.
A lot of the times, and this isn't to downplay any other healthcare professionals, because everyone's got their own remit and they're all really important. But I think what's good with occupational therapy is it's a buzzword, so I almost hate to say it, but it is a very holistic approach.
Very.
It's a bit more of an older sort of primitive model from occupational therapy, is the biopsychosocial model.
Yeah.
And I love that. There's loads of other models, the Cower model, the Canadian model of occupational therapy, and they're all great as well in their own way, but sometimes I just think they're a bit overly complicated. And I like sometimes talking to patients about the biopsychosocial model. And I even show them, the Venn diagram with in fact, we've got 3 circles. Imagine them all, for those listening, if they were together and you've got the center where all 3 of them cross. Bio is your biology, your physical health, and then you've got psychology, biopsychology, your psychological health, and then social, your social health. And if one of those aren't aligned and aren't healthy, it affects everything. It's like, if you imagine they're cogs, they all affect one another. And I think in a lot of disciplines, we talk about being client-centered, and we talk about in the NHS about treating the person as a whole and looking at every aspect of health. Yet then healthcare professionals are sent in, and it's not even their fault. They're only allowed to deal with one element at a time. Somebody can go in and see a physio about a problem they've got with let's say their knee, and then they talk about how it's it's making them really depressed. You know, they were going to be running a marathon this year. They've done all that work, and now they can't do it. And it's like, okay, well, I'll have to refer you on to psychology. I'll have to refer you on to somebody else. And then it's all fragmented. Then they're on a waiting list. You know, Joe, you were saying you were on a waiting list for 12 months, didn't get the letters, and they didn't even go ahead anyway.
Yeah.
So as an occupational therapist, it's really nice that we get to combine all of those elements of health where people are experiencing deficits, and we're in a position where we try and support and treat all of those. And yeah, it's just nice to be a part of that OT movement, really. You know,
it's again, like I'm just echoing that again. It's like trying to think of a scenario where I've done it in the coaching. Someone's asked me for coaching because they want to transform their confidence. So I said, great. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to look at every area in your life. I'm going to look at the external circumstances, what's happening in your personal life. We just consider everything. It's so holistic because there might be a few issues there that are causing confidence. And it's the same in a lot of areas, Johnny, like across the OT board. Like I remember I was working in adaptations and someone was asking me, I've got a referral to do a bathing assessment to assess for adaptations in the bathroom. So I ring them up and they go, oh, you're just going to look at the bathroom? That's all I need. I went, no, I'm going to do a full assessment. So I'll be looking at all your activities of daily living, which includes your bed transfers, your toilet transfers, your walking, your mood, your washing and dressing, your personal care, everything. So we consider the whole shooting match. So it's not just, it's a holistic assessment. We often apply that within the coaching as well. And I use the model Jinder's mentioned as well, it's such a good model, because I agree. I think the model's like the cow model. It's just overcomplicated.
Yeah.
It just doesn't need to be complicated. Keep things simple.
Yeah, I think there's always new models coming out, and I think some people just want to publish something, so they add something else to the model, and they add something else, and it's unnecessarily complicated.
Got a few nice designs. Got a nice little design on it, the cow model, but I think it acts it's very OT as well, and it's like, what I like about the model is it's not rigid. You can start anywhere. You could start with self-compassion. You could start with diffusion. There's the self as context. There's loads of areas. You don't have to start from number one. You could start at the last model and go back to it. It's so like it's really varied. I like it. I think that's why I get it, because I don't like models where they're rigid.
Yeah.
I think they have to have a little bit of flexibility.
I think they have to have a lot of flexibility. Everyone is different. On paper, somebody can look like they're suffering from the same issues. They can be similar age, same cultural background, and then you meet them, and it feels like. I mean, it sounds ridiculous to say. It feels like you met two different people, but you have, And
you have,
that's why I think the flexibility in the models is not just preferable; it's needed. It's important.
Big time. I feel like me and Johnny have these conversations. They can be like they're very OT. Even just me and Johnny talking. That's what I mean. He'd be a great OT. He talks like an OT. Never too late, Johnny.
Yeah, it's just helping people. No, never too late. It's helping people like in work, out of work, just being open, honest, listening. Having that ear and responding. That's for me. That's a big thing. That people, you can see the feedback from people. So it's you never know, but. I reckon. Do you reckon we should wrap it, Joe?
Yeah, we'll wrap it up. What's everyone doing tonight?
But
What was that again? What's everyone doing tonight? Just wrap it up.
Boys in bed, so
brilliant.
Gonna relax and chill out.
The missus is at boxing, so I'm gonna go and have my dinner. About you, Johnny?
Nice. Before I wrap it up, I'm just going to chill out, make some food, and because I've not been too good, I'll just rest. But Jinder, it's been fantastic, honestly.
Brilliant.
Thanks
it's been a pleasure.
Great.
And Joe, I reckon you're welcome. I reckon we found another admin, Joe.
We have. I think so. Because we're thinking when it grows a bit more, Jinder.
Yeah,
we're looking. We'll probably get to. I think we could be at 1,000 within a few months. If you're happy, we get you on as an admin on the group. If you want to, if you fancy joining.
Yeah, I'll be up for that. Yeah.
Yeah, brilliant. We'll give you a shout. I think we found one.
Happy days. Yeah.
That'd be good for you. I'll keep you posted.
It works very well.
Oh, absolutely. I think you'd fit right in with us too.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Is that all right, mate?
No,
fantastic, guys. Yeah, no, thanks.
A lot.
Cheers, guys. Thanks for having me, man. I really enjoyed it.
Brilliant. Me too. See you. Bye.
Cheers, guys.